I've got a rod here that does a bit of everything, whether you fish commercials, park lakes, reservoirs, rivers. This beauty will do a job on all of those. It's the Shakespeare SKP Concept 10-foot light tip. Now, we've been told that this will be just as handy at catching roach and bream on a park lake as it will be winkling out chub on a river. And we've actually already done that, and it did a great job at that. Today, we're going to put it through a bit more of a rigorous test. We're going to try and catch a few F1s, maybe a few skimmers, maybe even a bonus carp. We're down at Manor Farm Leisure on the Island Pool. I think we're on peg 24 today, and we're going to put it through its paces. So let's see what it's all about. Right, so we've had our first cast of the day. Started off about a metre off the island, that deeper water. It's absolutely hammered it down before we got started today. So there's a lot of cold water gone in, so don't envisage it's going to go around straight away, but I'm confident we'll get a few bites. But time will tell. But while we're waiting anyway, just thought I'd give you a quick rundown of the spec. So as we said before, 10-foot rod, comes with 3 tips, 3/4 of an ounce, 1 1/4 ounce, 2 ounce. So for your real light work, your silverfish work where you need to see every little bite, you want to be using the finest one. Today we've got the one in the middle. It's kind of an in-between really. We're sort of fishing for predominantly F1s, maybe some skimmers and an odd carp. And then for bigger fish, or when you've got some underwater tow, go with the heavier tip. The blank, it's not your typical 10-foot rod, your typical 10-foot sort of match rod if you like. It's got quite a slim blank. Now this has got a bit more beef to it, not ridiculous, but just a little bit. But the blend down throughout the rod is really nice. Now I've had a look at it when we've just been playing around, and like I say, when we went chubbing previously, we've had more than a look at it. We had a proper go with it. And it's got a real nice progressive curve in it. You look at it and you would think with something that's got a bit of chunk at this end but then fines down nicely to the end that you might end up with a flat spot, but genuinely can't see anything. And for a rod that's worth a penny under 70 quid as our RP, that's pretty impressive. Nice cork handle, nice and traditional. It's got a grey colour which is unusual, but it looks really nice. It's something a little bit different. Certainly doesn't offend me in any way whatsoever. Eyes are set nicely off the rod, not going to stick in any way. First impressions were really nice. As I said, we've got it to work on a river. It managed to catch us chub, and actually, we're in. Look at that. You'd think that was camera trickery or something, wouldn't you? Well, that's literally, as we were talking to you, that has gone round. That has gone off. I'll tell you what, that feels nice. I don't know if you can pick up the curve on that rod, but that is nice. I feel, if I need to pull a bit, I feel like I could pull a bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, this isn't a big, heavy, all-out action rod, but at the same time, it's also not just, you know, a wet lettuce, so to speak. It's got a bit through there. Now, all I've got to do is get it in the net. Genuinely didn't think that would go around that quickly. We turned up this morning, all excited, driving down in the rain, but the forecast said it'd stop by the time we get here. But we know not to trust the British weather forecast, don't we? So we've been sat around waiting. Finally, as you can tell, it's a completely different day. Nice bit of absorption in there. I say just when them fish are lunging a bit, you just want to make sure that they don't come off. Let's give it a bit of line because it's not the £3 F1 I was expecting. Nice chunky common. The bite was just a little sort of drop back. I think it was just swum towards us. I thought probably on, and well, it is. A nice size 14 hook. 0.17 hook length. Didn't want to go too guns blazing in this weather. And even though I'm playing a big fish, you could see how this rod could be for small fish. I can't bully it in, but I have got a little bit. These fish, showing it can handle these fish, but you can definitely tell it's got some finesse in it. You know, I can't just yank this fish in. But at this time of year, the name of the game is to land everything you hook. And hopefully, moment of truth time. Well, what a result, eh guys? Well, would you look at that? Literally been in 5 minutes that I was not expecting to get a bite. Plodded around, thought it was an F1. That must be a good £7 that. That rod, that was really impressive. Let's have another chuck. Got me all excited, that has. Let's get it in the net, have another go. Right, let's get this back in. Pretty sure there'll be a few fish out there. Hit that clip, hopefully. Rod straight down. It's one thing to do when you're fishing a method feeder. Put your rod straight down. Don't worry about the line and that's on the surface to start with. Just tighten it up gradually, because the last thing you want to do is move that feeder. You put it exactly where you want it. Start doing too many turns, pulling your rod around, it's just going to drag it out of the way. Right, so that feeder's been in for about, well, I don't know about, I know exactly, it's been in for 8 minutes. And the reason I know that is I've got my phone on my side tray. One thing you want to do at this time of year is keep an eye on your bite patterns. It's amazing how bites will come at the same time that your feeder's been in. So for example, one day you might notice bites come 5 minutes after it goes in. One day it might be 10 minutes. Now the reason I've kept it in 8 minutes is I know that is when the first bite came from. Might be a fluke, it might not be, but it might take a little bit of time to work it out. But keep an eye on your bite patterns, and honestly, you'll be amazed. Why they happen? Bit of a mystery. Probably to do with the breakdown of your pellets off the feeder. So when your feeder's sat on the bottom, those pellets are going to break down at a certain rate, and it may just be that at some point the fish like it like that, and it'll change every day. So keep an eye on when them bites come. Let's say they're coming every 10 minutes. Don't leave your feeder in any longer than that then, because you're just wasting time. So let's get it back out, see if we can get another chunk, eh? We're in again. What have we got here? This, an F1 or a skimmer. Absolute contrast to what we had last time. This rod genuinely feels really nice. It just doesn't feel like I'm going to pull out of it. Like the fish is pulling back, it's jagging a bit, tip's just absorbing it. And it's one of the beautiful little stocky F1s that they've put in here. And if you have a rod that is too aggressive, they're just not coming in. They're just going to get shaken off straight away. So we've gone from what you saw earlier on, a £7 carp, to that. Doing all right, isn't it, this rod? Proper all-rounder. So we've had a good run of bites. It's typical winter sort of early spring fishing. You're getting a bite of chuck and all of a sudden nothing. You feel like you've clicked and then the fish move. So I just feel like I'm going to have to change something now and just have to explore my peg a little bit and try and find those fish again. They won't have disappeared to the other side of the lake or anything stupid like that. They'll be in the vicinity, but I'm going to have to put a bit of work in. Otherwise, I can just keep hitting the same hole and nothing happens. So I'm going to wind in a minute and I'll have a little rethink about where else I'll explore in my peg. So I've had a run of fish just to the left of centre in front of that tree, just off the island, and the bites have dried up. Now I tried to push up against the island a touch, but it's not made any difference. I just think the fish have moved off a bit. So I've got the lake to myself, so I'm going to come round the corner and cast down the side of the island, which should effectively be the peg's water for over there, but there's no anglers today. So I have been chucking in about 30 yards distance, but it's probably going to be 45 yards. Now, I've put a new clip on. I don't envisage this is going to be a problem for this rod whilst loaded. So let's chuck it out, launch that out, hit the clip, rod down and tighten up. Now there's no issues whatsoever for that. This isn't a distance rod. You're not going to be chucking 70, 80 yards with it. It's not what it's made for. It's a 10-foot rod. It's meant for lighter work and it can pick up bigger fish as well. But it's not a casting tool. But if you wanted to chuck up to 50 yards with a sensible feeder that's maybe 25 to 30 grams, it's not going to fold on the cast or anything like that. It's a pleasure to use at this sort of distance. And let's face it, most commercials like this, 30, 40, 50 yard chucks are what you're going to be doing. So at the moment, it really is ticking all the boxes. and again. I reckon that's another one of them little F1s. Like I said, I can't emphasise enough how nice that rod is. And you know what? We'll see in a minute, but it's woken up again a bit. So maybe, I don't think it's a carp, maybe a bigger F1. Honestly, this place has got some donkey F1s in it. I've seen them to £5–6 in here. You look at them and you're like, are they a common carp? Or maybe it's just an enthusiastic pup. But look at that rod. You see that jaggy in that rod tip? If that was too harsh, that fish comes off. It's as simple as that. Yet when it pulls back, got a little bit of oomph. Slightly bigger. Probably the biggest F1. Not a monster, but very welcome. Yes, we're in. Feels like another one of those little F1s. It's got nowhere to escape. Lovely sport on a freezing cold day. Let's get this one in. Then I think we're going to call it a day. That's some lovely sport today. I didn't expect many bites. That tip has kept going round. We'll drop him back, should I say. Another stunning Manor Farm F1. Brilliant day's sport. And Shakespeare told us an all-round rod. Now we're not going to take their word for it. Having taken it on the river chubbing, having come here and caught a carp at £7, having caught a shed load of these, I think it's fair to say this is well worth 70 quid and it will cover you in a lot of scenarios.